Like, I would go outside and even playing football, I would play football by myself. And I remember people like, what are you doing? You're crazy. And I'm like, NFL or NBA, I don't care what you say. You know, I was focused like that.
The Orange Zone, sponsored by Billy Whitaker Cars and Trucks.
What's up? What's up? Welcome into the Orange Zone podcast, the award-winning Orange Zone podcast. A reminder, you can find every episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you want to listen. You can also find every episode on our Orange Zone YouTube page. New episodes released every Wednesday. We invite you to like, comment, subscribe. Also, be sure to check out our all-new Instagram and TikTok page for even more Orange Zone content. And please keep commenting. We're loving the interaction we're getting. And today is all about hoops. We have the man, the myth, the legend back in the building. It's Lawrence, Poetry, and Moten, former NBA player, SU's all-time leading scorer, Big East legend. They were just talking about it on the broadcast in the SU Georgetown game. He's back. We have Samantha Croston, and we have Brendon Hodges on the producer mic. We're getting into SU men's hoops today. We're going to start with the men since we have Poetry here. Then we're going to get into the women that are 8-1. They should be ranked. I'll go on a rant here in a little bit, but open it up to you guys. How you guys feeling, and how you feeling about this SU team that is now 7-3, Poetry?
I'm feeling very good about this 7-3 SU team. You know, they're growing each game. You know, everybody's trying to figure out their role. Adrian, what makes me very happy is he's doing it his way, and that's very important. You know, he's coaching it his way. We're deeper than we have been in some years. We can play about 10 guys, which makes everything a little bit more easier, gives everybody chances to do what they have to do to help this team be successful. So I'm very happy with what's going on right now. I would have loved one of those games in Maui, though, at least one.
I feel you.
Of the ranked games. But, hey, we're doing well.
You mentioned doing things his way. How is he different from Jim in your mind? As a coach?
Well, of course, different personalities.
Right, naturally.
Let's start off with that. You know, who I actually played with. So I know Adrian's a fiery guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve. You know, he's very motivated. He's very energetic, and he's going to call it how he sees it. And that's what you want in a coach. And you know, like I said earlier in the year before he even got the job, and when he did get the job, one of the things we have to do as fans and always understand, just we have to give him time. You know, don't start the blame game on why he did this or why he did that. Give the man time to grow as a coach, like we did Coach Boeheim.
How about you, Sam? How you feeling around this team?
You know what? I would say I agree with that, because I do think that sometimes people have really high expectations the first year of a head coach, which is interesting being at Syracuse, seeing how many new coaches we have recently had across all of the major sports. Yeah. But I do think, again, you do have to have a little bit of a transition period. It's funny, you mentioned Adrian Autry as a fiery guy, and I've noticed that now being on the sidelines, like you can see that he'll get fired up. But at the same time, he's also just a very pleasant fellow, I have to say. He's a nice guy, you know. I thought that the Georgetown win was great for the fan base, great for the community.
Absolutely.
You know, that kind of rivalry feeling, just to see them pull away like that. You could hear the Orange fans in the crowd. Those are the kinds of things that get me excited about the future. But again, my eyes are still looking forward on ACC play, because we know that that's kind of the make or break.
Big time. And you got a little something on your tooth right here. I'm just
Thanks
going to
for
cut that
telling
out. Other tooth?
Probably the lipstick.
This one? Right there.
Okay.
Give it a little scratch low. Go low. All right, perfect. You're
Really?
golden. Yeah. Money.
You're such a good friend.
Yes,
I got
he
you.
is.
I got you.
Yes, he
See,
is.
I've had. I mean, we'll trim this down. But I did a whole sportscast once. Sam knows about this. And my jacket lapels were like all up. Like I was throwing on
And
my coat
nobody
last
told
minute,
you?
and no one told me. And
It's not right.
And I'm like, you know what? I will never ever allow that to happen.
Tommy is
The
also
second
the
I know
guy
he
who
says
pointed
something.
out a zit on his neck at the start of one of these episodes.
True.
And went
It was a
off about
huge
that for
zit.
2 minutes.
It was a huge
It
zit.
needed to be addressed head on.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is a teammate, guys.
Yeah.
Like, this is a good lesson right here, I feel like, about
Absolutely.
sportsmanship and,
Absolutely.
and
You
being a
just
good
won.
teammate. So thanks for that.
And
Gotta
not
make
only
it look
that,
good.
you have to look good to play good.
Exactly.
Look good, feel
that's
good,
great.
play good.
That's
You
what
know
I was
that.
taught.
You know that feel. You know that feel.
Absolutely.
Let's keep it.
All right. We should keep it. But let's bring it back in. Looking ahead to these next few games before ACC starts, and they're playing Oregon out in South Dakota on Sunday, and then they have Niagara on the 21st, and I believe Brendon ACC play starts on the 30th.
Pittsburgh.
Is that who's in town?
I believe so. I will confirm that as you all discuss.
Right, but first, the Oregon game. Oregon, similar to Syracuse right now, lost to a good Alabama team. Had a loss to Santa Clara, and they're 6-2 overall right now. So this is anyone's game to me, and I think it's an important game for both teams. They last played 2018. SU lost that one at MSG, but they're playing in South Dakota. I don't have a great reason for it other than they just maybe agreed on a neutral site and wanted to meet in the middle of the country. Did you ever have a game like that?
It's funny you said that, Tommy, because I actually thought the game was in Oregon. I did not know it was in South Dakota.
Yeah.
I don't recall playing a neutral game like that. Wow, I was thinking about actually going to Oregon because I wanted to go to Nike Town again.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to Nike Town with the guys, but
changing plans.
Yeah,
that would have been
going to be a change.
That would have been a humbling experience.
South Dakota.
A humbling experience.
No.
Getting to what, Eugene? Being like, where's my guys?
Yeah.
Why is no one in Orange right now?
Yeah.
But yeah, so they'll be in Sioux Falls, which is interesting. I mean,
been there. Very cold. Very dreary. All you have to think about is basketball.
Right.
So it's nothing else that should distract you. And I would take it as a slight advantage that we're not playing at Oregon.
I would say so too.
So, I'll give us that advantage on just having a neutral site and just giving it our all and trying to do what we can to get the win.
Big time. And looking at this Georgetown game that just was played this past weekend, we're recording this on Tuesday. That was a big one.
Yes.
It really was. It was a hard-fought win, and it was a game that they won late, and a game that they had to win even if it meant Judah Mintz was on the bench for a bit. And that's what I was starting to lack in seeing here early in the season was when he went off, it felt like there was a major change in the game. And it was those guys coming in and filling those big roles when people were in foul trouble or whatnot that stepped up huge. Obviously, J.J. Starling had a big game, maybe his best of the year. Mintz still did his thing. But it was Quadir Copeland and Monir Hema that came in and really made this a story. Copeland, career-high 14 points, including one of the more ferocious tip slams I've seen in a long time.
That slam.
Yeah.
That stuck out to
Can
you.
we talk about that slam?
That was nice.
It was nice.
I loved that slam. And I feel like we have been talking about him for weeks and weeks, Quadir Copeland especially, what he's able to do. And I did want to ask you that, Moten. Like, as a player coming off the bench, I feel like he's making a pretty big impact compared to most bench players.
Oh, it's no question. He's an impact for our team, Syracuse. He's very energetic also. He kind of reminds me of Adrian Autry. I get a chance to go to the practices, and he's the most vocal out of all the guys on the team. He gives, people positive motivation and also negative motivation. He's just a fiery type of guy, which every team needs. Every team needs a type of player who's going to come in and be a Swiss Army knife, like Tommy said, and do what it takes to help this team be successful. I just wish we had a big like that also. He's more of a slashing 2-3 man. He's not a center or forward. I'm looking for that bruiser and the big guy who just protects the rim. Not saying McLeod hasn't been playing well. He's been playing okay, but I'm just talking about the guy that does all the dirty work, who doesn't mind taking fouls.
What is McLeod like at practice?
Almost all the other guys are kind of quiet and reserved, but definitely Quadir is the guy that's talking all the trash and bringing out the best in all of them, along with Adrian.
All right.
What do you see in the longevity of, we've gotten very used to McLeod coming in and, then he takes his seat for a while and it's Malik Brown at the 5.
Yes.
Do you see longevity in that? Do you see them maybe just running into some issues when they're playing bigger teams in the ACC?
Well, we definitely, right now they're all trying to figure out their roles.
Right.
So it's good that we have different players that we can put in when other guys aren't doing their job. I like Malik. Very, very good player, very quick with his hands and pretty smart, So it's about doing what you can do to help the team be successful and knowing your role. And once these guys, play more and more, they'll start to figure it out. It's starting to come together. But at the end of the day, my main thing is you have to hit shots to win games. No matter what, you have to make shots. Even sometimes the defense is going to be bad, but if you're making shots, everything that solves all the problems.
And holding those leads. I mean, we saw multiple times in the Cornell game, and granted, the Big Red, that's their styles. They're literally going to try to run you out of the gym until you're tired. But they did come back twice, I believe, down 13 points to really make that a game. Syracuse got it done late. So that to me is something I'm really wanting to watch. I think we'll get a good example of that more so in the Niagara game, going up big and holding that.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, one of the games I thought was very, very important, and I think almost saved our season, was coming back from Colgate.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were headed in that direction just now.
I know it's been a few weeks, but we need to address that. I think we could talk about that monthly, because that was unbelievable.
Yes.
But at the same time, it was believable because they gave you every reason to show that they were able to do that. And I don't know if we could say the same for just the formula of these past few teams to pull that off. I think they had a big one against Notre Dame 2020 or 2021. But other than that, this was something different.
I mean, there is pretty much nobody who was thinking that they were going to win that game when the deficit was so large. Like, I was shooting that game, I'm in there just kind of
54-30.
Just looking around, like, it is not looking good.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, by the end, the fans are literally leaving early because that's how much they had solidified that they won that game.
Yep.
And it's interesting to hear you say that it saved the season, because to me, the reason that was a statement game is because with a new coach, it showed how much this team believes.
Absolutely.
They never gave up. There was no quit.
Absolutely.
Like, that is an emotional battle that you need to be fighting when you are 24 points down. And he talked so much that game about his 4-minute drill. I'm sure that's something they practice, which you said you get to see.
Absolutely.
But that is the kind of mentality that you need, and that showed a lot of grit, a lot of heart.
It really did. And one of the things I can say is you always have that you can use in any game. Guys, we can always come back. We've been down 24, and we actually came back to win. So
We've done it before.
We've done it before. So it's not like it's foreign, like they never done it. So use it.
Let's do it. And Hodges, I'm going to bring you in. You put some good stats down here. What's been the story from the numbers for you so far this season?
Had to turn my mic on there real quick. I keep forgetting to do that.
You're just so captivated by our discussion. I get it.
And Poetry's voice is so like Jim Nancy velvety that like you get kind of like.
Thank you. I didn't know that.
You get kind of caught. It's funny. Tommy mentioned you got a shout out. We were talking about that on Monday. I was like, yeah, I don't know who the analyst was in that game, Tommy.
Yeah.
It was what's his name?
We just said it. Donnie Marshall.
Donnie Marshall.
He played at Connecticut when I was playing at Syracuse, and he was a trash talker.
I'm sitting there on Saturday watching the SU Georgetown game on TV at home and watching another game that we'll talk about a little bit later in this podcast on my phone, and I hear him say Lawrence Moten, and we were trash talking, and now everybody just gets a technical for it, and I couldn't help but laugh. Numbers wise, Tommy, our lovely friend Samantha Croston, I was on a call with her earlier this Tuesday. She had several players that she was interested in learning more about. The two big ones, obviously, Judemans, J.J. Starling. That star backcourt we were all so excited about. I think Sam would want to read those numbers because I did provide them for her. So why don't you give it to him, Sam?
And I appreciated you doing that. It was something that stuck out to me because I do feel like slowly but surely they're coming into their own. That was sort of one of the big pieces of the Syracuse offense from the beginning of the season. So combined, the pair are averaging around 32 of Syracuse's 77 points per game. One spot for improvement, assist to turnover ratio, 67 to 46 or around 4-3. But they've also been very active defensively. They're nabbing around 30 combined steals. Listen, I think that matters. Their chemistry matters. And I didn't even know, Moten, that you get to go to practice. I don't know why I'm kind of hung up on that, but it's because I'm curious, what is their relationship like behind the scenes? Because it seems like they've been gelling so well ever since the start.
Oh, yeah. Judah and JJ, are close. I can honestly say all the guys get along very well, but our two starting guards are very close. They talk to each other during certain instances in practice and everything. But and let's not rule out Justin and Bell, So we have a nice core of guards, Even Cup, I like him when he plays, and he does things in practice that helps the team be successful. So, but our two-headed dragon that we have with Judah and JJ, very strong, big guards who, when they're on, and hopefully now with JJ starting to knock down the three-pointer, because that was his issue early. Now that he's starting to knock it down, I think that's going to open up so much more for the guys.
I think that Georgetown game provided them a lot of confidence because you mentioned when they're on,
yes.
but when they're off, it seems like they're both off.
Yes.
And you look at the points per game, it's a 32 combined, but Judah's 20 of that, JJ's 12, and I think the expectation is for that to be higher because Chris Bell is actually averaging more than him right now,
right.
And he's really, I think he's a very confident shooter right now. His release is so quick. Mm-hmm. It's like a split second. But I was looking at JJ's numbers, and he had 21, but then he had a game with 5, and then 18, and then 3, mm-hmm. and so I want to see double digits every game. I want to see that consistency because then when he has that consistency, it gives that defense just, oh man, number 2's hot right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to make some moves to go cover him. Absolutely. And I think JJ's 2. Do I have that? Judah's 3.
Yeah, JJ's 2.
JJ's 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that opens up more doors for everyone on the team. One of the people a little bit struggling right now with the threes is Justin Taylor. Mm-hmm. He's shooting 30%, but I think for the shots he has taken, you want him to be making more of those and becoming more of a perimeter threat, because that was one of the things he said he's been working on is if he's able to really get those knocked down, defenders are cheating out and he's able to attack the rim, which is something that his coaches have been wanting to work on him with.
Absolutely. And him, Justin and Bell are also good drivers, but they don't use it enough. If they just understand situations and know that they don't have to rely on that three-point ball all the time. Sometimes you can penetrate and get to the line. Like, I just think of myself as when, I didn't hit the first 2, I was going to bully ball you, and I was going to get to that line, get myself loose, get a foul, penetrate, little mid-range game. The mid-range game has definitely been a lost art in basketball in the past couple of years. NBA, college, all the high school, it's just, penetrate and kick. And what I cannot stand when a guy drives all the way to the basket for the layup and he kicks it out for a 3. Make the 2. Take the layup. It's like,
it's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's crazy. An
auto 2.
Yeah.
An auto 2 for a chance, higher chance 3. It's interesting seeing how that game's developed, because there's times where, if they're able to draw 2 defenders and it's like, okay, I'm probably going to get fouled, but I don't know if I'm going to make the basket, kick it. But I swear there's been times where the paint is empty and they're like
all the way right.
So we'll see. We'll see how that changes. What else? Anything else sticks out to you about this men's team?
I have to just say that we touched on it a little bit, but like one of the players who I just felt like ever since the beginning of the season and even still now who I've really been appreciating so much is Justin Taylor. And the reason why also is because I don't think in the beginning of the season is someone who everybody thought would have quite as large of a role as he does now. It was sort of, I feel like, him and Benny Williams kind of fighting for that spot, and that's not necessarily an easy situation mentally to be in. Yeah. You sort of know that somebody is behind you, and then once Benny Williams was kind of back in and he was in the rotation, I felt like Justin Taylor proved that he deserved to be out there. Like, he earned that spot, game in and game out, and now he has it, and now that's someone who people actually do want to see out there,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's had to been a gritty role. As we mentioned, he's leading the team in rebounding right now, which, he's a bigger dude, but not exactly the guy that you
would think because he's a shooter.
Right, because
we
he's
just
a shooter.
expect him to be a shooter.
Exactly.
And he's doing all the other things.
He's doing what he can to fill those roles, and
Absolutely.
he's played a role. But let's talk about Benny for a second, because that's been one of the stories of the season, and it's been back and forth. He was suspended for a few games. He comes back. He plays. He doesn't play. He plays. He doesn't play. He plays, to where the narrative with Autry, which has been very much in-house, that's clearly been his MO with that, is most recently in the game that he didn't play, which I believe was Cornell, he said, I put the guys out there that I thought gave us the best chance to win. And that, to me, just feels like there's this off and on confidence with him. And I think his presence is missed when he's not out there.
Yeah, there's a disconnect. We all see it, but at the end of the day, all you have to do is when you get out there, play well. You play well, you'll play. Plain and simple. If you don't, you won't. It doesn't take rocket science for this, and the reality is, I'm a student of the game, and when I watch Benny, it's just, right now, it's just a little off. When he should drive, he shoots threes. When he shoots threes, he should drive. It's just not there, and hopefully it changes. But at the end of the day, when you're 6'9", 220, me as a coach, I'm going to give you a chance. You're going to play, and I'm going to let you dictate how much you play. And that's what he's doing. And the reality is he's not playing well enough to play as long as he should. And Adrian's not going to sugarcoat anything, and he's going to keep it real with the guys, and that's important also. So I hope the best for him, man. I hope he just hangs in there. Mentally now with the youth, it's kind of tough because, you got social media and everybody's telling why you're not playing. You got your friends calling you, what's going on, so he has to deal with a lot. So hopefully he can stay mentally strong. That's very important that you be mentally strong.
How did you stay mentally strong? I mean, from what I know, I don't think you had too many bad stretches at SU.
No, not at all.
But after, say you had a bad game or just something where you weren't up to your normal numbers, and maybe there's an article out there that you didn't have a great game, or at any time in your career, how did you lock into to correct or to bounce back?
Well, Tommy, it's one thing, man, that I was always taught, and it's called self-motivation. See, I knew how to motivate myself. I didn't need anybody to try to push me. I didn't need anybody to tell me you're not working hard, because I knew I was giving it my all myself.
Where did that come from?
Just loving the game, watching the game, studying your favorite players and taking some of the little things that they do, but it's still, you have to get out there yourself. You got me backtracking. I used to go outside by myself and play the game within the game in my head. If I made a shot, it was a point for me. If I missed, there was a point for the ghost. I try to train my brain to always want to make shots, knowing that realistically you're not. But if you train your brain to always want to make it, you're going to make it a high percentage of the time because you've actually, trained it. So I did a lot of that, I was big on motivating myself and pushing myself to be the best that I can be. It was no doubt in my mind that when I was in middle school, I was even going to play in the NBA or the NFL. There was no doubt in my mind because I wanted it so much, and nobody couldn't tell me because I put in the work. So self-motivation is important.
I really feel like that is intrinsic. I love that you go, that's a point for the ghost. That is so cool.
Oh, yeah,
did your ghost have a name?
Sometimes Mike.
Yeah.
Sometimes Magic. Whoever I wanted to be at the time. You got me back. I mean, like shooting in the rain. Like I would go outside and even playing football. I would play football by myself. And I remember people like, what are you doing? You're crazy. And I'm like, NFL or NBA. I don't care what you say. I was focused like that. And a lot of times it came to reality, I was telling the kids a story today in class of how, my mother would wash my uniform. I had 2 beds in my room. And my mother would wash my uniform. So the night before every game, I would put my uniform nice and neat on the bed that I didn't sleep in. And I would get in the other bed and close my eyes and see myself doing great things. And the majority of the time it came true. Like deja vu, it was crazy, like touchdowns or just making a shot. I remember being at the free throw like, damn, I was just thinking about this and it's here for real in the dome, so you got to see it if you want it. You got to see it happening, I trained my brain to do that.
Any kids listening to this right now, soak that in, save this video, because what separates the goods from the greats is that right there.
Absolutely.
And that can apply to anything in life. Any adults listening.
Absolutely.
Going for a new job, trying to switch something up.
Absolutely.
take that to heart.
That's funny
because
you said
that just hit me to the core, man.
Absolutely, Tommy, and I tell people the same way. I'm a mentor now. I'm a teacher. The same way that I was All-American and professional basketball player, I go in the same way in teaching. I'm All-American in teaching and mentoring. I'm that same way. I'm all-star. So, that's how I think,
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do.
Older or younger?
I'm in the middle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just wanted to know. Just
Yeah.
curious about the family
I'm
structure.
in the middle, yeah.
I feel like when you have younger brothers or
I have an
sisters,
older
that also
brother
could be a
and
motivation.
3 young sisters.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
athletes?
No.
No?
No. One. 2. Me and my older brother, he was an athlete. Yeah, but my sisters were pretty girls.
Did he motivate you? Like, did you always want to beat him?
Yep, I sure did. Him and my uncles, they used to kick my ass.
Yeah.
But it was good. I needed it. And that's another thing that the youth don't do now, I think about. They don't play against older guys. They all come together. They text each other, let's meet up in the gym. Instead of just going to play with older guys. And that's how I learned, playing against older guys. They don't want to do that now.
Veteran experience.
Yes.
Get out to the courts.
Yep.
Get out to the courts. Hit the playground.
Yep.
All right. So Oregon on Sunday. It's a 1:00 start. They could win this game. I think they have a. I'd be really happy if they won this game.
Me
We were
too.
talking about it before the show.
Yes.
This is the type of year where the most wins they can get before the conference really kicks off is going to benefit them, and it could be the difference maker. We could look back at this Georgetown game, we could look back at this Oregon game, and say that was the decider right there.
Absolutely. I
There we
agree
go.
100%. And I thought we were going to see Quincy, but I heard he's in Illinois now.
Yeah, he's switching it up, man.
This portal is terrible, man.
That kid's still in
Quincy
college?
Yes,
Wasn't he
he's-
here in like 20?
Oh, he's the Van Wilder, man. Is he
the new Perry Ellis?
He is the new Perry Ellis. He's been around for a hot minute, man. It's it's great to see. But you know who else has been around for a minute? And honestly, I think she's All-American caliber. Is Deasia Fair, this SU women's team. Perfect segue. And let's get into them before we get into some trivia. Because right off the bat, I'll give you guys this. This team is 8-1. Last week, they were 7-1. The only thing that's happened in this week, Sam, is a 20-point win over Ohio. Last week, the Orange had 2 votes in the AP Top 25. This week, they had 0. How does that happen? I'll talk. If the voters are listening, let me know, because that doesn't make sense to me.
I saw that stat too, and it rubbed me the wrong way. I think at the end of the day, the cream rises to the top. They will figure out a way to get into that top 25 if they continue to prove that they deserve it. But it did bring a couple things into question for me as to how that could ever happen. The point remains, for the time being, whether or not they're ranked in the AP top 25, this is a good team. And they don't have to be ranked in the top 25 for you to know that and see that. 8-1 is a really hot start, good record. This is a no-joke team.
Absolutely.
And again, last year we talk about giving people time and letting new coaches have a little bit of time to breathe. But Felicia Leggett-Jack, in her first year, was already in the WNIT, and it would not shock me to see that in her second year, she is in the NCAA tournament. This was a quick turnaround.
I completely agree. And I don't think any of us were really too surprised by that.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
It feels like the people that are staying with her are people that are her type of players.
Yes.
in their ride or die. They're with the formula, they're with the game plan. And the thing about this team this year that's been really interesting is obviously Fair came over from Buffalo with Felicia last year, and that was the big face of the year. But this year, Fair's still doing her thing, kind of like the mince of the women's team, right? But it seems like it's a different player having their true breakout game every time they play. It was Sanaya Wilson had a career high this past one. The week before that, it was Alyssa Latham, who's a dog, by the way, freshman. Sophie Burrows, dog, and then Georgia Woolley that Brendon has right down here. And another Australian. We keep it in the mix. We like the Australians on the SU women's team. It's just it's a breeding ground. And Georgia Woolley is a type of player that she's just consistent. And that's the consistency that we're talking about with the men's team, that it seems like they've already applied, and it's a big reason why they're 8-1 and could be 9-0 if it wasn't for a 2-point loss to Maryland. So keep that in mind, voters. Keep this team in your mix. They have Cornell on Monday. Anything else that stuck out to you, Sam?
I mean, Woolley is someone who, when even Brendon and I were talking on the phone earlier, I said, this is somebody who you need to include in the conversation and someone who we need to be talking about. Scored 4 points versus Iowa State before being back in double figures in the Orange's last 3 games. When you talk about consistency, this is it. You mentioned it. Last year, we're talking about De'Asia Fair all the time, pretty much every single game.
Yep.
And there's something to be said for that. But now it seems like there are more weapons surrounding her. Georgia Woolley was here last year. She's doing better this year. You have 2 freshmen who are doing great. And honestly, Felicia Leggett-Jack is someone who sort of reminds me of like a Fran Brown as far as like retention is concerned and recruiting. I really feel like every girl on that team believes in her and the mission and her culture 100%. Felicia Leggett-Jack is the kind of coach that you want to play for.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%, knowing Felicia personally, knowing how fiery she is. And like you guys were talking earlier about her not, the team not being in the top 20 after playing their games, she's using that as motivation. Trust me. She's talking a lot of trash.
The voters don't think you
to her
deserve
players.
it. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
definitely. She's using that.
Yeah.
I like that.
We've seen the word fiery come up from Moten now when he's talking about Red and FLJ. I'm interested, Poetry, in who you think would win in a fight if these two people are so fiery and you think like you're using the same
Felicia.
vernacular. Really?
Felicia will win in a fight, in a talking match, whatever. She's a very energetic lady. You know, she was a great player, and you know, I just go back to times when I was playing and she was assistant coach with Mariana Freeman, and I used to go in her office and we just used to chop it up and just talk basketball, talk life, and you know, yeah, she's a feisty and fiery one who you would love to play for. You will run through a brick wall for, because she's truly genuine about wanting to bring out the best in you. But at the end of the day, it's all about winning, and she wants to do that very much so.
And you would not want to get in her way.
No,
No
not
way.
at all.
No way.
And before we get into trivia, there's another coach that's coming in that I feel like fits this mold that you've described with these other 2 coaches, and that's Fran Brown being named the football head coach.
Yes.
What's been your immediate thoughts and reaction to this hire, Poetry?
I'm very happy for this hire. You know, it was long overdue. Bavers, I have nothing against you, but 8 years is long enough. 41 and 45 was not good. And I'm just excited. You know, it's always, when it's fresh, it's good because it's exciting. And he's coming from a strong program. That's another thing that we need to understand. So, like I was telling you earlier, Tommy, you know, those 3 or 4-star players who weren't playing at Georgia, come on upstate. Come on upstate and start here. So I think he's doing a great job with the recruiting and getting the guys that are coming with him on the coaching staff. From what I see, it's going to be a bright future for sure.
He's
No
a
doubt.
grinder. Sam's not sure if he sleeps. I don't know if this guy sleeps.
Yeah.
I'm like, when does he have the time?
I don't know if he does.
To your point, Poetry, this is something we'll talk about in an episode we're filming later this week. But I thought about that just this morning, that if you are recruiting these guys, outside of the fact that Fran Brown is just Fran Brown and a lot of people want to play for them, what a unique situation to be in, to be able to look at a kid who is a 4-star or a 5-star even and say, you have the opportunity to start here and be a part of something special from the ground up. That's a unique pitch,
Yes,
and
it
not
is.
everybody is able to say that.
Yes, it is.
I'm sure that's what he's saying.
Coming from a championship caliber
Right.
university in
Right.
Georgia. So it's almost like a no-brainer.
It does, and we'll see. Again, there's a lot going on with NIL right now, and working with transparency on it, and the players sharing with the NCAA about it. And selfishly, I would love for there to be a transparent window website just to see the numbers from different schools and just to see where SU matches up.
Right.
How close are they to being one of the higher paying ACC schools in terms of opportunities? And I don't know.
Or how far away?
I know they're not the highest. I know they're not Georgia.
No.
But how far away, where can they make up ground and start checking off those boxes that these guys are getting offered at the bigger schools?
Well, as far as that transparency website, you just keep on dreaming.
Yeah.
Maybe one
Everything
day.
has to do with location, guys.
That it
Remember
does.
that also, the location. And, you know, John Wildhack talks about building a village. They're doing a lot of construction on Manley Fieldhouse, Carmelo Center. So that's the village that he's trying to build. And we have some good leaders right now building this village, and the new head coach of the football team, and Adrian coming in is fresh, and Felicia, so, so I think we're going to be fine.
It's an exciting time. Brendon Hodges, trivia time.
Trivia time.
Let's get it, villain.
It's a busy weekend coming up, guys. Obviously, Saturday, SU plays Oregon in Sioux Falls. To answer that question, I think the sports group that is hosting that
Sanford
is based in Sioux Falls. So
I think it's the Sanford Pentagon. I think it's Sanford Sports.
Yeah, it's odd.
It's interesting.
Obviously, next week on Monday, it's SU Cornell again on the women's side this time. That'll be exciting. And then Friday, everyone's favorite game, everyone will be watching, the Stag Bowl down in Virginia. Salem, Virginia, SUNY Cortland going to take on North Central. And speaking of Division III schools.
Oh, boy, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
No, we're not doing that today.
Oh, thank
We're
God.
not doing that today. Though we had a nice discussion about the Gallardi Trophy before the episode this Tuesday. That was fun.
We did, the D3 Heisman.
Yeah. Anyway, I got curious over the weekend and went down a rabbit hole because...
Back page, guys, if you're talking trivia right now.
Yes, outside of the ACC, Syracuse men's and women's basketball have played a lot of power conference basketball. And we all know that because you have like the conference-to-conference challenges and the NCAA tournaments and all that good stuff. However, in their program's history, they have only played one other conference's current and complete field of teams. Name which conference that is for both programs.
So we're talking the SU women and SU men?
Yes.
And they've played, and this is ever?
Ever.
And they've played every team in this other conference?
Yes.
I mean,
whether it's the same conference or not, that's up for you to interpret based upon the question.
So it's like, okay. I mean, is it just the Big East, like both teams?
Is that what you want to go with? You want to go that quick, Tommy?
Well, I guess not.
Is he trying to sketch you out, or are you just right?
I think he's right.
Here's the one team that I'm curious about.
I will read the question again for you.
Okay.
Outside of the ACC, Syracuse men's and women's basketball have played their fair share of power conference basketball. However, they've only played one other conference's current and complete field of teams. Name which conference for both programs.
One other conference's current and complete field of teams.
Current and complete field. Here's the one thing about the Big East that has me a little bit questionable on it. Have they ever played Creighton? Because I know Creighton's in the Big East now.
No, I don't recall them playing Creighton.
I don't think so either. So I think that was...
I don't recall them playing Creighton.
Creighton's in the Big East, right, Brendon?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't recall them playing Creighton.
I'm like trying to tap in right now.
What about like the Big Ten?
Big Ten... I mean, there was the Big Ten ACC challenge for a while there until they switched to
I will say
SEC.
this again. You have choices here. Power conferences are different in basketball than they are in, say, football.
Okay, what are they then?
I consider the Power 5 in football and the Big East as the power conferences, and I think that's widely considered the power conferences in collegiate basketball. We can agree on that.
Okay.
Keep in mind, this question is written in a way where it could be the same one, could be different conferences for both programs. That's what makes me the trivia villain.
I'm going Big East SEC.
For which teams?
Oklahoma State.
No, I mean like the men's team versus the women's team.
What do you mean?
So like the question is the conference that the men's team has played every team from, the conference that the women's team has played every team from.
Oh. I'm going to stay in the Big East, man. I like Tommy. I like what Tommy said. I'm going Big East.
For both teams?
Yep, for both teams because we played UConn, and UConn was a power. I'm just going with it. Ride or die.
Tommy Sladek?
I'm going to go... I'm going to go...
I'm going to go Big Ten for the men and Big East for the women.
That sounds good.
That sounds very good.
I think I'm going to go with that as well.
The women have indeed played every team in the ACC and the Big East, and that is it.
There we go.
So everyone has one part right.
Everyone got one. Everyone got one.
Now to the men. They have not played every team in the Big Ten. They have not played Nebraska. They have not played every team in the Big 12. UCF is in there. Thank you, college realignment. They have not played 2 teams in the Pac-12 who will soon not be in, well, one that won't be in the Pac-12 soon, Colorado, and one that will be in the Pac-12 plus the Mountain West, which is Oregon State. Right. They have not played Xavier, who is currently in the Big East. Which means they have played every team in the ACC and the SEC.
I thought about it for a second.
You even said that earlier. You said Big East, SEC.
Because he was so close, Lawrence Moten, go pick up one of those crowns that are sitting off to the side.
Oh, wow.
That's what we doing now.
These crowns, one of these will be, this is one of my gifts to you guys. The other one's coming later. One of these crowns is the Trivia King of the Day crown.
Love that.
I love it.
And then one of these crowns is going to be
let's get a close-up on Moten.
Most likely Samantha Croston's when she wins the football picks competition after bowl season. So let's just be real about
King
that.
James, King Poetry.
King Poetry. You look good.
How's the throne feel?
It feels good sitting on top of the throne. I want to thank everybody for giving me this award. And God bless you.
Unless I'm missing anything, that's our show.
That's it, folks. That's it.
We hit trivia. We hit hoops. We'll be getting a little bit back into some football bowl talk. Hopefully some more recruiting news end of the week. And obviously, Poetry's here to stay. He'll be on pretty darn regularly moving forward here as we get through this season. So, Lawrence Moten, Samantha Croston, Brendon Hodges, Tommy Sladek, Billy Whitaker, Cars and Trucks. Thank you. Peace. We're out.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
All right.